This photo is really more than impressive. We are talking about the NASA photo of an almost perfectly rectangular iceberg. This mysterious object in the Antarctic Weddell Sea was photographed during a research flight. Since then, the whole internet has been trying to figure out what is behind it. And the cliché iceberg is not the only unusual recent NASA discovery that is so perfectly geometric. How these forms come about and who is responsible for them? Now on Clixoom Science Fiction, here you'll find exciting science videos. Only if you subscribe to the channel, you won't miss a video. A warm welcome.
1, 2, 3.
This iceberg looks far too symmetrical to be true, doesn't it? Was it cut artificially or was the shot simply edited with Photoshop afterwards? One thing is certain, the iceberg looks unnatural, but it is real and in fact has the gigantic form of a muesli bar. The extraordinary iceberg was discovered during the NASA research project called Operation Icebridge. The aim is to document the changes in ice conditions in the polar regions. A NASA employee describes the mysterious iceberg in the Weddell Sea of Antarctica as an unusual specimen that almost looks like a perfect cuboid. You can see the sharp angles and a flat surface. So far, the scientists have assumed that the iceberg must have just freshly broken off the front of the Larsen Sea ice shelf on the east coast of the Antarctic half coast. But now there are new findings. The angular table iceberg apparently already broke off in November 2017. It was probably formed shortly after the demolition of the gigantic A68 iceberg from the Larsen Sea ice shelf. Its predecessors can be seen on satellite images taken at that time. Two freshly carved icebergs, a curved piece of ice and a relatively rectangular iceberg. Since then, this iceberg has probably already undergone a very long journey. Since the end of 2017, it has slowly been drifting north and repeatedly colliding with pieces of ice. Among other things, it managed to pass through a real danger zone, namely a narrow place with rocky projections, which is also called nutcracker by experts, because icebergs drifting through here usually do not remain undamaged. So is the forerunner of the mysterious rectangular iceberg that breaks. Thus, some geometrically formed fragments are created. Among them is our rectangular iceberg. Experts call such objects table icebergs. These long and flat icebergs are formed by splitting off from the edges of the ice shelf. According to NASA, the formation of such table icebergs can be compared to a fingernail that grows too long and finally breaks off. Table icebergs are, by the way, rather typical for Antarctica. The icebergs that we have in mind from the film Titanic, for example, taper upwards and are characteristic of the Arctic. The formation of table icebergs is actually a natural phenomenon, but according to studies, Antarctic ice is melting faster and faster, and the rapid break-off of large areas of ice shelf is probably favored by climate change. The crass thing about the specimen that has now been discovered: the NASA photo probably shows only about 10% of the iceberg, about 900 meters wide and 1,500 meters long. The rest is below sea level and is probably no longer as rectangular and angular as it used to be. In the meantime, the iceberg has moved further north into open water and will probably thaw at some point. And I already mentioned it briefly. This extraordinary iceberg is not the only curious discovery of recent times. In mid-October, a NASA research team discovered and photographed another mysterious geometric shape, a triangle that looks like a piece of pizza. Click here for the video Ice Age in Europe. Will the Gulf Stream come to a standstill? If you don't want to miss any video on Clixoom, click here to subscribe. Stay tuned and see you soon.